Welcome to the Westminster tradition, where we unpack lessons for the public service. I'm Alison Lloyd-Wright, Managing Director of the Good Trouble Group, and I'm joined on Ghana land, as always, by my two fellow recovering public servants, Managing Director of Good Government Advisory, Danielle Elston.
Hello, Alison.
And Caroline Crozer-Barlow.
Hello, Alison.
As long-time listeners might know, we sometimes take inspiration from other podcasts. We were inspired by the Normal Gossip podcast for our hypothetical scenario episodes, and of course owe a debt to If Books Could Kill podcast for our episodes on nudge theory and change management in particular.
Who moved my cheese?
Caroline and I tried to explain that book to some people with over wine the other day. Yes. Anyway, avid podcast listeners that we ourselves are, we continue to find and draw inspiration from new podcasts. Caroline is quite a fan of Brené Brown, and I'm a bit obsessed with Adam Grant. So we were super excited to learn that they have a new podcast together, The Curiosity Shop. And we'll chuck a link to that in the show notes.
It's great, by the way. Just really hard recommend for all you Brené Brown skeptics. It is just the harder edge version of the thing.
Some of you might know that decades ago they had quite a public bit of conflict. And so one of the early episodes of their podcast is titled Things We Will Never Agree On. And having listened to it, and then our number one fan, Danielle's husband, told us that he really loved us openly arguing on that episode about the public profile of public servants, we thought we might try an episode where we talk about the things we don't think we'll ever agree on. Because it can be easy to fall into a trap of believing that there is a single right way to do things. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot we do agree on. But both Caroline and I know from our substantial university and school debating histories that on any given issue, there's actually a huge amount of nuance. So, welcome to the Westminster Tradition Fight Club. I have tried to pick issues that I'm pretty confident we already disagree on, which is to say at least two of us are in a different spot, and inevitably the one remainder will be sitting somewhere in the middle. So let's start us out with one that I think Caroline and Danielle have a pretty different opinion on. The value of conceptual frameworks and academic frameworks in how we do public service. I'm going to get you to kick this off,
Oh, sorry,
Caroline.
not my first. Okay.
But in doing so, I just need you to know that in our last podcast, you used the phrase sense making, which makes me want to vomit inside my mouth. But I also accept there is no better
Thank you.
way to describe that. So I'll allow it, but I just need our podcast listeners to know that it might be coming. Get ready. So Caroline, tell us about why and where and how you think these academic and conceptual frameworks can be of value to public servants.
It is so hard to be prepped up in this way because, essentially, I'm don't hate me or think I'm a wanker is my first starting point of this.
Well, that's all right, because my starting point is, oh my God, everyone's going to think I'm dumb. So we're all good.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Good. Yeah, and in fact, I do genuinely think that the part of this that we could both agree on is the bit that's about the use of either conceptual academic language or, Danielle, I would challenge back to you, plain English speaking, as a gatekeeping mechanism for saying who or who isn't authorised to speak. And I think both of us would, when we're not ribbing each other mercilessly, acknowledge that, in fact, that kind of gatekeeping is probably not helpful, even though sometimes it's super hilarious. I also just want to say it's pretty funny that I'm defending academia because I remember
Doctor.
So I left academia, right? That was not a place I stayed or was very successful in. But I remember really early in my career, our fearless leader, Sandy Pitcher, it's 2 name checks in 2 episodes, Sandy, you better give us something nice, saying to me, I really think we should do more work with the universities. And I was like, why would we do that? They're so stupid. And she gave me a really hard time about it at the time. But I have changed my views because I think for me, what and putting aside kind of like the researchy bit of kind of discovering things that are new about our world. Like I'm assuming even Danielle thinks that like kind of I don't know, public health specialists going and discovering whether or not, you know, A is associated with B. Like I think she'll even give us that. I think we're talking about kind of the conceptual frameworks around change, or how public sector administration is organised, or how policy advice is organised. So like I think that's the narrow space of the conflict. Even in that space, I have over time come to realise that a lot of the way I think about policy is actually really highly influenced by my academic background, and that if I hadn't
I
gone
think that's true
deep,
for me too, actually.
it really is, Alison, because I notice it sometimes on your discursive framings of what it means to be an individual in a neoliberal state, which is very much one of the things that you wrote about, right? I know. See, I'm a wanker already. Now we need a wanker alert, which is like different from the nerd alert.
Can you use that word? Anyway, I used it 3 times professionally this week and was like,
wanker?
Yeah, like, are we allowed to do that?
I thought you meant neoliberal. I'm like, no, we can't say
Yeah, I don't know. I think that kind of language might start to get you in trouble in the AFL nowadays, Caroline. So.
Okay. Like I feel like it's sort of like saying
human,
right?
I agree.
Like,
I mean, I'm there, but
yeah, it's like what is it? Everybody poos.
Like plain English. I'm down with that. That's one of your words I can understand without a dictionary. I'm fine. Keep going.
I guess so. Sharon Goldfeld, who's a professor of various like child stuff that I talk to a lot. She quotes this great phrase all the time about she doesn't give a whit. It's not hers, but she doesn't give a whit for simplicity this side of complexity, but she's very interested in the simplicity of the other side of complexity. And I guess when I think about how
I actually believe that comes up on the Brene Brown Adam Grant podcast in one of the most recent episodes, just to really emphasise that point here.
And I think I sent it to Sharon via text, and then she texted back. She's like, I'd already listened to it. And I was like, of course you had, because hive mind. But anyway. But I think there's something for me about, I always feel cringy about those academic frameworks. I always feel like they're, you know, you're overly complicating what feels like an intuitive way of understanding the world, like the world is complicated and networked and whatever. Nevertheless, spending time getting precise in thinking through what that means does, for me, help me think about the world better. So one of the kind of concrete examples of this is, so I'm from actor network theory, if anyone is interested in that part of sociology. And really what actor network theory says, it's a bit like kind of discourse theory, but it sort of says the things that we think of as kind of immutable, glunked together things, yes, they sort of exist, but they exist in different ways in different relations to people. So the great example is arteriosclerosis, you know, the kind of disease arteriosclerosis. And people might say that, oh, yeah, that's when your arteries get thinner. Like maybe actually arteriosclerosis in the clinic is pain on walking, right? And actually sometimes when you look at the arteries, they're not thinner or substantially narrowed at all, right? So like there are different kinds of enactions of a particular thing. And why does that matter? Well, because it helps you be really precise about what actually am I trying to mess with? Am I trying to mess with whether or not people have plaques on the inside of their arteries? Maybe I am, maybe I don't understand arteriosclerosis at all. Actually, or am I trying to mess with the fact that people aren't moving as much because they have pain on walking? And if so, that might lead me to a different place. And so I just think that kind of being taught to think that not everything is a single glunked together stuff has been helpful for me. And it also helps me think through things like briefing notes where everyone thinks that like it all has to be perfect in it. And I have learnt to see that as like a mobilizing device for things happening, right? So I actually care quite a lot less about what is in a briefing note and more about what it kind of makes things happen as we go through and who it enrolls in that motion and how. Anyway, I've just ruined my whole point by being diffuse and I'm just saying I find it helpful, I guess.
I mean, we're online recording today, so I don't know how easy it is to see because I've got a really soft focus on because I had a lot of skin cancers burnt off yesterday, but my eyes glazed over about halfway through.
It was pretty easy to see, Dee.
Okay.
Like the soft focus went harder.
Didn't do enough.
She was slumping in the corner of the video camera.
Like, fine. I can accept. No, not really. Okay.
Nope, can't even give you that.
So, I think that frameworks and academic frameworks are really useful for a certain number of types of brains in the public service and certain types of jobs. I think it's quite a small number of them, to be really honest. I think the vast majority of people, I think we spend a lot of time and energy and money on it in order to improve the thinking of like a very small number of public servants, and from an investment perspective is basically useless to the 99% of people doing the work and delivering. So I'm not sure, like, so for me, some of it's that investment. I should like preface this by the fact, like, thank you to the universities who are currently paying me to come and lecture people. Very big fan of academia. Probably like shouldn't be on a public podcast ragging off academic.
I don't think we're ragging on the academic.
No.
So no. So
to be just how useful is it?
No. The framework, how useful some of the framework things, and I think that's one of the reasons universities have got me in, is to connect the idea to what it is you actually do in some of these jobs, and that is, I don't know whether that is their job or the job of your ANSOGs and your IPAs and others to go, here's an interesting new framework, and now let me cut that down as to if you are a policy officer in this type of role or this type of role, and turn it into something. And maybe that's the missing middle, because on its own I find it borderline useless. And I
do think by the time you start using, ontological or heuristic, like you've lost 80% of the public service anyway.
100%. And so that, for me, that is like, is that then a valuable like uplifting capability? And I'm a bit obsessed with uplift of capability in the public service, and I'm not sure new heuristics and new frameworks and new ways of thinking get there. I mean, I think I come at it from a different perspective, which is like my academic background is in history and public policy, and like and I think I have an unusual skill for pattern recognition. I think some of that comes from being a historian, where it's like you can pull the patterns together. So I think differently. I don't think in frameworks. I think in patterns probably. And the pattern of we've done this 3 times before, just called it something different. The external environment has changed. So now what does that pattern then change to with a new type of, social behaviour or a new type of economy or whatever else? And I struggled wildly. I did public social policy data under the now Senator Barbara Pocock when she was an Adelaide Uni professor. Was my first introduction to Excel. It's like 1999 or something. It just about broke my pretty little languages brain very, very quickly. And we were looking at that like third way. It was that kind of it was the Tony Blair welfare reforms and running the numbers on what worked and what didn't work and whatever else. I survived and got a good mark because why not? But friggin' hated it as a way of conceiving of whether that was going to change, but got wildly into the evaluation 20 years later as to what happened to that cohort of young people that they invested all that money into. So I think there are many ways of coming at it, and I don't think that we do a lot with, for instance, if we wanted to lean into an academic or more frameworks, historical ones are very valuable, the pattern ones are very valuable, and we don't really seem to do much with that. I think most public servants don't have like time to go to the toilet, let alone ponder things for vast periods of time. And so when we spit out new big thinking, sociological, philosophical framework, big words things, the privilege for most people doing the work of like getting deep into it, connecting that to the idea of what it is they're responsible for, connecting that into what that might mean or not mean, as in challenging that it's actually not valuable for what I do, is something that people just do not have time for. and you can argue that they should or not, but I don't think that they do. And I don't know. I think I'm a mile wide and an inch deep, and I think that's like a valuable connection between
CCB wants to fight you. Let's go.
Okay, go.
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking as you were talking, I'm like, yep, agree with all of that. And then I'm like, well, clearly the thing that we've done is we've bracketed out the Fight Club bit, which is the kind of is it or is it not excluding to use this kind of language. And then you said something about those people don't have the privilege. And I was like, oh, I'm ready for the fight now, motherfucker. Because I think and it might be because I've just had 2 years of being out of the public service. And I think I used to think it was a waste of time to have people in the public service whose job it was to do a bit more slower and deeper thinking.
I didn't say waste of time. I said it's not possible, but go on.
Well, no, there was tone, Dee. Like I think you have to acknowledge there was tone. There was snarky tone about the privilege of it being a thing that some people might have time to, but that's not like a thing most people do. And the kind of like, and I think this is where the conversation, it's like, it's good for the ivory tower kind of, senior SES to kind of get the time to do the thing.
Well, their middle managers are breaking their back over who's got a sick cat and isn't coming to work and understanding a psychosocial framework and the delivery of the this and the whatever out. Like it is a privilege. Come on.
So can I offer...
I think it's a privilege, but I don't think it means it's not. I think it adds value, and I think I don't like sneering at it. But maybe that's because it's also a personal identity for me. But I don't... That does rub me. Like that's the bit where we will have the fight, is it rubs me. And in a way that I would never say that someone who has frontline operational expertise has nothing to add, because I always kind of try to respect that point of view. That's my rub. There's my fight.
But where's the pathway to that? Is it SES thinking, or is this type of thinking something that a ASO4 policy officer nerd who loves their job, and do you build that into the job? Because it takes time, right? Like we pay 37.5 hours a week or whatever it is we pay. It takes time. I've never seen a unit, even in a central agency, or like where there's this kind of carved out, time for this kind of thing. So that's what I mean about privilege.
I think
seen
time a few in central agencies, but they were, to use language that maybe Danielle didn't say, but I will broadly consider it a waste of time and energy and resources that could be better applied to doing things that were actually needed doing.
And that's my next question. If we're gonna, if there is value to it that I'm not saying because I'm sneering, then I will also only accept that to be in the line part of it, because I have zero interest in a central agency or a central evaluation unit or anything else floating around reading lots of shit and then coming and telling me how to do my job better. Like, absolutely no way.
And we are going to find about central agencies in a minute. So can I just maybe close out our section on academic frameworks, which is to say, I think fence post firmly up arse, some of them are useful some of the time, which is to say, I think back in particular to Mark Moore's work on public value, I use the expression public value
it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And I think it was a useful way of describing what government does and developing some common terminology and like shorthand terminology with other people who do that too, so that you can be clear about what it is that you're doing. Do I think that it's necessary to read like the whole book to get to that level of understanding? Nah.
But to give you the flip side of that, I think it was necessary for him to write the whole book to get to that understanding. And I think that's the bit where I'm like the insights come from what we consider to be navel gazing and kind of rubbish walking around.
He didn't invent public value. We were all doing public value already. Right. We just didn't have like that particularly neat way of describing it. And there were certainly some people at the time who were like, wow, this brand new thing. I was like, is it new though? This is not what we've been doing the whole time. And if it's not...
Totally. And I use that one all the time too, because also it has operational delivery in it for a start.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, authorising environment is the bit that we forgot to train people on for 20 years.
Which is also an expression I use a lot.
Verbatim, like all the time. So like it's not, it's what do you do with it and what does have value. And I mean, I don't think, not the sneering part, but I think time is always a privilege in the public service, and who gets it and who doesn't and how we spend it is a thing.
Yeah.
All right. So for our second issue, I'm going to take the leading in position as someone who worked at Department of Premier and Cabinet South Australia 4 separate times. And I think in actually 7 separate roles across those 4 separate times.
Jesus, Alison.
I know, right? And we're going to debate the value and importance of central agencies. And for me, there's a couple of things here. The first thing is, and I tried to come up with better wording of this, and I'm going to fail at that, but I think line agencies are pretty poor at seeing the whole. They're so blinkered and focused on their bit of the world that they really fail to, take that helicopter view or that balcony view or whatever you want to call it of the entire government, its agenda, and where your unique bit of whatever might interfere or upset something somewhere else. And sometimes that's really obvious at, I'm thinking about like environment versus mining. There are portfolios that necessarily aren't going to cohere nicely. But also it's not just about those obvious points of conflict, but the ability of line agencies and people in them to demonstrate that kind of political nous and paying attention to the signals and the shifts in the political discourse and being able to better identify and respond to what their elected officials need is something that, I think is a case for central agencies being able to fill that role of kind of elevating and connecting across government. Very important.
Excellent idea, usually poorly executed as far as I'm concerned. So speaking of sneering, I think there's a number of things they could and should be a lot of the time, but what they end up being is frequently arrogant secret keepers, holders of the secret knowledge. Process. Process.
I'm not sure I disagree, but I'm not sure it's as much of a problem as you think it is.
Process-loving bossy bootses, the lot of them. So I think, again, great idea, poorly executed most of the time, which is I would love central agencies, and I don't just mean DPCs, I actually include in that not just Treasury. But a lot of the time justice or attorneys, they can have a central role as well. And I would love to grow that for them to be connecting people, because you often, they're the ones who do know the connection between the Adoption Act in health and how that operates out of BDM and how that operates out of here and all that kind of thing. And to connect the right people and either stay in the room or get out of the way, one of the two, but connect the people to come up with a single government solution and convene and broker and lead and show that good understanding of authorising it. But they don't, in my experience, a lot of the time. A lot of the time it's I've been shouted at, so now I'm going to go and shout at a line agency. I'm going to tell them they're dumb for something they never could have possibly known because we're keeping it a secret from everybody. And now I'm going to tell them to put it in this template and be a bad listener for the, hang on, there's something really practical that you don't understand about your desire to deliver the government's agenda, that if I could just explain to someone, I could have got 3 solutions to it, but not the way that you're shouting, not the way I've been told to do it. And so, I find myself often informally and formally convening the right people, going, oh, that's also happening over here. And I'm not sure if it's because I find that central agencies, government is becoming more centralised, so they're doing a lot more of the work. The speed is much faster than it was 15 years ago out of central agencies. But a lot of the things they could be doing, they don't do. I think it's really interesting that New South Wales separates out Cabinet Office and Premier's department under Labor governments. It's this long history in New South Wales of doing that under Labor governments. I think there are pros and cons to it. And so the great idea. Like, I think the things it's supposed to do, I'm for. But Fight Club, is it delivering it? Absolutely not. Like, very rarely, never. And usually just sticks in the craw of lots of people. And then, like, I mean, you know the names that we have all had for the buildings within which central agencies sit, used by central agency staff when they are working in line agencies as well, I will say. And so I like, great idea, except have not seen it in many jurisdictions well executed.
Which is the thing, right, is what you're describing here is it's not just like a few people who behave poorly. No. If this is always the case with central agencies, which is your contention, what is wrong about the design, structure? I don't know. Caroline.
Well, that was where I was going to go, because I think, like, because A, I was trying to bring the Fight Clubbiness to it, and B, like, I think to Danielle's earlier point about pattern spotting, like, yeah, hang on, we can all name the moments when a Cabinet Office or a Treasury has done the thing of, like, pulling together, but we can name them because they're vanishingly rare. And because usually they were the result of, like, brilliant people with very exceptional kind of human insights that knew how to kind of convene and pull people together. So then I'm like, well, like, if we think about the preconditions, maybe I'll use a framework to get us here. What in this model, like, what's under the iceberg, right? So we think, central agencies see the whole board. Actually, they really don't see the whole board, and I think that is one of the kind of things
better than line agencies.
Maybe,
maybe they're missing parts of it, but I think they're seeing it better than line agencies.
I think if we think about, like, your board might be 2-dimensional, but mine is 3-dimensional, Alison. And I think, like, they see the things that float to the top of the line agencies, but the thing they really don't see is what is happening underneath in the line agencies. Yeah. And that's the kind of distance.
I think yours is 2-dimensional too. It's just that they're on different.
It's true. I've got vertical water and horizontal water going on here.
And I would accept that characterization, actually, as, like, yeah.
And again, they're like the holders of the authorizing environment. And I mean, whenever you have to be collegiate or cross government, you have to remember that someone else has a different, like, whether you are a 6 to a 6 or an 11 to an 11, and you, like, doesn't matter if you are, like, how far up the food chain you are. Everyone's got a manager who's got a director, who's got an executive director, who's got a DepSec, whatever else. And when you are having a conversation about a thing that crosses over, you are talking about two people with, like, different bosses, basically. Yeah. And a central agency view out into the world is, but I'm holding the money if I'm in Treasury, or I'm holding the view of all of Cabinet or of the government. And there's nothing better than thinking, well, that's interesting, because I don't know what you heard in Cabinet Office person, but my minister just said this is a stupid idea and da-da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So I have and that's the person who sacks or doesn't sack me. So, like, I'm saying with my team over here, and so, like, they're the arbiters of what the government wants a lot of the time, but it's often very different to what you've been very directly told.
They're the arbiters of the cabinet, of the principle of cabinet unity, which is to say, they might have different views in the room, but once they've agreed, that's what's happening.
Oh, and I mean, like, yes, and I don't think you'd ever find me arguing about that and cabinet solidarity in particular, but I think the challenge there is if we are not talking about something that's been decided by cabinet and you get rando instructions from DPC that this is the way we're going, when your own line has given you, like, a different direction, and you are left, like, marriage counselling between a central agency and your own secretary or boss, like, that's just sticks you in the world's worst position, and you're looking at the central agency going, thanks for nothing.
Well, it's so interesting. Do you know what this is making me think is that article I shared around, and we'll pop it in the show notes, about what we think, like, the way our system structures for accountability. It was like doing good estimates, right? Like it's like it's your gift in being able to do it. And it is a very central agency skill, is to be able to take a whole bunch of information, kind of synthesize it into a plausible sounding narrative and push it back out in a 5-minute soundbite, right? And be able to answer the next 3 questions about it. That is a useful skill and is very much a central agency skill. And I think one of the things that we mistake that for is profound insight, is an ability to anticipate what might come next. Like sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And I think in an increasingly polycrisis world, it doesn't. And that was the argument that Peace was making, is that like actually we need to stop thinking of our need for generalists, and we need to start thinking of our need for kind of people who know what they don't know, but also know the different kinds of knowledge that they can access in the world. So I can go and ask my quant person here. I've got someone on the ground who knows that thing. I know the person in the Lion agency, like that, which is very much the way you were a central agency person, to be clear, Alison, like I think, just to say, but like I think that model of the generalist, maybe that's what I'm really pushing against when I say I don't think they see the whole board. Like I think the model of the generalist is you efface that there is a board through being really good at describing a plausible sounding thing, but that's not actually helpful for the next step.
I'd like central agencies to be bigger, believe it or not.
Yeah,
I'd like them to be bigger. I'd like no one to ever do their entire career in them. I think everyone should go out to the
on that. I agree, actually. Yes, and bigger too.
And I would like to live the dream of what I think that they could be doing, because I've never been more frustrated than I have been for the last year at the fact that like government can't coordinate itself, and that is what central agencies need to do. I just don't think they are delivering anywhere on some of these kind of grand ideas, and need to be as good as listening as at telling you things.
2 ears and 1 mouth. Well, I guess kind of on that question of delivery, but also going back to your point, Danielle, that sometimes in a line agency you feel wedged between your authorising environment who want something and the central agency who wants something different. I've got to tell you, the experience in the central agency is that you're operating on usually very explicit instructions that a particular line agency is not delivering right or fast enough, and that's creating problems at the centre. And so Caroline sent us an article from James Plunkett, which we'll link in the notes, which observed, interestingly, not in favour of centralisation, but I'm going to use it anyway, that the centre uses the word delivered 2.7 times more on a document analysis than places at what they characterised as the edge does. And so I know it's annoying when someone from DPC or Treasury comes in to take over your project or your program or hurry it up. But I can't tell you how many times that was our absolute explicit instruction, because there were so few other mechanisms for a premier to get in and work out why it was taking so long, or what could be done about, ambulance ramping or any other kind of emerging political issue.
Can we save the Fight Club on whether delivery units are a good idea, or we can do it now and not do the next topic?
We need to do it now. I'm super into this.
All right. Well, delivery unit. So my question to why
I don't like a compliance delivery unit that just marks your homework. No.
Yeah, agreed. I think we all agree on that. But I do like a delivery unit, actually.
Well, again, great idea, poorly executed a lot of the time. Like the one that breaks down and actually sits between Treasury and the agency to figure out whether it is humanly possible, or is the agency going, wow, henny penny, stifling, and I can't do it for that much money. Or is Treasury just not bloody listening, and there's a serious problem with the way this, election commitment has been kind of pulled together. So traffic light reporting can go and eat me. I would if you want to know the list, what on the list of ever going back to the service, don't like working in an office, don't like wearing shoes, don't like traffic light reporting. It's a very, very petty list of reasons. But so that the compliance part out the window. Again, if it's a brokerage or this is what I found the blockage, no one actually, everyone else is sitting on their hands, that's fine. But again, it's not often how it's landing those delivery utes and landing. And my other question goes back to the like ministerial accountability. Like, why isn't the minister terrified? Why aren't they sitting with the project team going, we promised blue street lamps by Christmas and blah, blah, blah. Like, why? What is wrong with secretaries and what is wrong with ministers and delivery units are an acceptance that cabinet decisions and ministerial accountability actually doesn't work. And I reckon like that's a problem.
I mean, I think sometimes it's even, to your point earlier, though, well before the decision has been taken, that an agency is working up something that they've somehow just missed the politics on, for want of a better way of putting it. And they're, in the best faith possible, working away at something, going through all the steps earnestly and with nothing but good intentions. And like, yep, maybe the Premier has rung up the minister and had a few firm words, but evidently that's not a satisfactory enough outcome. And like, what are the other ways? Are there other ways that the will of a leader of a government?
So like a good example, Alison, would be, and I'm not sure, I can't remember whether our paths cross over, but we replaced a giant poster on a minister's wall every day because he was not a patient man. I liked working for him a lot because I'm not very patient, so that suited me just fine. But like that constant where is it was solved by habit every day. We tell you like where all 40 of these projects have moved in the last kind of 48 hours. And then if you, like not a traffic light reporter, literal here are the 100 steps and we're up to step 80 now and 82 comes this week and that kind of thing. Because he was doing what I think ministers are supposed to be doing, which is feeling like there's some strapping urgency to getting your agenda done and out the door. But I just think that when we continue to devolve, it's even like PMOs, God help me for saying this out loud, inside a line agency. I'm like, some of these things always feel to me as though we've given up on the idea that you can task a minister and then a secretary and then someone whose job it is, and that somehow you can keep fire under that for long enough.
So I'm not just talking about urgency though. I'm talking about like the content has just
the right thing.
Yeah, like I worked on a number of things where a particular piece of work was taken from the line agency into DPC so that it could be delivered with a sufficiently...
I mean, the ultimate humiliation, right?
But that wasn't about speed. It was about recognising... recognising the political context in which this piece of work sat and what it needed to achieve for the government, other than just like a very neutral, factual whatever.
I'm just remembering, and I'm sure this is not what you're referring to, but like a decade ago, there was a boards and committees review, and I'm remembering exactly this, where like all the line agencies diligently went through their boards and committees and delivered a kind of short set of boards and committees they thought might be able to be got rid of, and the central agency had to take it because it was just like, oh, buddy, you've like completely missed the point of this. Like, we were blowing these things up.
That wasn't what I was thinking of, but yeah, that's a good example of how to think.
I don't know how many of those I've been involved in, the boards and committees reviews.
Right? Yeah. So two thoughts on this. One, on the compliance delivery unit, the one thing I would say is like sometimes you got to eat your Wheaties to find the kind of good thing at the bottom of the bowl. And so like I hate traffic light reporting as much as the next person. Like I find all that compliance shit kind of low value in the instance, but it's not being done for the in the instance, Danielle. Like actually it's not targeted at you because you are delivering with your giant poster for your Attorney General who's like, it's targeted at the ones who aren't good at it. So like there's just an inefficiency in it that I suspect offends you, but the inefficiency is kind of the point, I think, in some ways. Like it's just a way of surfacing.
Well, I just think they're easy to lie on.
I agree with that too. I do agree with that too.
They've usually got
which is why the central agency might be up your ass.
Exactly right. right? And so like that is like
they've usually got 4
reading.
milestones on a 3-year massive program, and you just put orange. Never put like green because you look like you like. There's like a strategy to managing
know how to
them.
Play it.
Like,
you 100% know how to play it, and I think it's useful because so that's exactly the utility, right? You're like, oh, Danielle's on that one. She's going to give us orange until it's delivered. Fine, we're all over it. Like so, but which isn't to say there's a good argument for it. But the second thing, I don't quite know where it lands, but I just keep thinking about the pink bats, and I keep thinking about. Remember, we did the episode on the pink bats, and it was like we want to deliver it, we want to deliver it, we want to deliver it, and PM and C got really involved. They had like some special delivery unit that was helping out with the kind of blah blah blah. I think if you're going to do this, and I understand why you may or may not do this, the most important thing is not to end up in no man's land where no one's in fucking charge. And so in fact, like that was one of those kind of classic hurries where, if you recall, the Environment Department actually didn't think it was a good idea to progress as fast as they were, but they felt like PM&C was telling them they had to progress that fast. So they never even told their own minister that there was a problem with the timing, let alone, And so I just think like there's an art to it that's interesting to think through. And if you're not able to navigate that art, and many of them aren't, then you shouldn't set one up.
Well, and my broader question is, like, what is the mechanism to be able to get in and work out why a certain thing is not – like if you can't rely on self-reporting, then you have to be able to send people in and say, let's have a look.
Who do you recruit to a delivery unit? Like, see, I think it should be the most charming mofos around.
Agreed.
So, look, seriously, I think the recruitment to central agency, the challenge is most people are trying to dodge them, trying to get away from, like, stay under the radar, stay away, make sure I never have to spend too much time with them. That is not good for connecting bits of government up together. It's not good for all that kind of stuff. So we need more Alisons, and I should asterisk that none of these things I have just whinged endlessly about in relation to central agencies relate to any of my good people who work in central agencies, la, 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 la.
Although there was one time I told Danielle she needed to change the entire birth death management system in like...
And I told you that's not how computers work,
weeks.
Woman. Yes. And I said, have you got $11 million? Because if you don't, there's nothing I can do about that. And you also need to find me the person who built the green screen computer that thing is built on. I understand they died 25 years ago.
How did this resolve? I don't know the answer.
I mean, I think I was able to report back and say, like, I know you think it's easy, but it's not easy. Like, it would require this, this, and this.
And I'm like, if you can give me the following things in a non-henny penny way, like, because we had a reputation for always delivering.
That's true.
It was like, I'm not yanking your chain here, dude. The guy who made the computer program died in the 70s. Like, we can't add a field. It's not what you think. This is not a Microsoft Office form.
There's no Power BI.
There's no Power BI for this one, mate.
There is
like, you either need to go and exhume a man and make him be realived, or I cannot do what you're asking me to in any kind of timely fashion and without a huge amount of money.
We could, yes.
But I do think it's about we like what we recruit for. We recruit for really smart, really fast, and I have no problem with that in a lot of ways, but we never look in central agencies when we're recruiting for people who are really good at buttering people up and making them
Yeah, I disagree too. I think we are hiring for that because we want you to want to come to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always.
So I'm going to go to our last one because we're running out of time. I get asked this a lot, and I'm sure you do too. I know it's something on which we do disagree, perhaps mostly for personal reasons though. We are all currently in the recovering public servant category, but clearly we still spend a lot of time and energy thinking about public service and government and public administration. So would you go back? Caroline.
It's so funny because I'm like, yes, and then I just think like, but I've said no to like half a dozen public service jobs in the last year, so like it's a notional yes. I think like for me, the question is, how do you best add value? And one of the things that you guys showed me when I was still in was that you can add value on the outside and that you can add value on the inside. But I think I would be in fact I am much pickier about going back. But there's nothing about it that makes me
that's inherently that you're divorced from. Yeah.
No. Like, but I would be like pickier. Like, I wouldn't want to go back and work for a minister or a senior leadership that were not going anywhere, that were like babysitting. Like, I have no interest in doing that. And I'm not even sure I'd want to go and work somewhere where maybe there's ambition, but there's no broader authorizing environment. Like, I think to me, it's all about the work, but I miss it. I miss it in my bones. I miss the diversity of public service work. I miss the way that you go from a duck attacking a person in the Botanic Gardens and your boss being on the radio when that's happening and trying to deal with that, through to, how are we going to fund poo stations on the River Murray, through to I miss that incredible diversity. I miss the connection to the public. I miss the really hearing directly from people who are impacted by services. I don't get that in my current job. I get a kind of very filtered view of the world. I miss, and fundamentally this might be the one thing where we really disagree maybe, I miss feeling accountable. I miss feeling like I have skin in the game. And like my team know I say this all the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm in lucky Buddha mode, where you come along and you rub my belly and I spout wisdom. And I just don't want to be that forever. I want to do something. So yeah, I do. I miss that. I would go back.
Danielle?
Look, I'm probably a no, but I said that when I left in 2002 and then I came back in 2009. So I'm not a long-term planner.
Yes.
I would say no, for again, a list of wildly petty reasons, like I don't like offices, I don't like shoes, I don't like long meetings, I don't like staff rooms. So for a long list of incredibly petty reasons, I don't think I go back. And I get to live my life at the moment with a lot of public service. So yeah. I don't miss, I've got the collegiality and I've got it in more places. I can do it in more different ways. I can do 5 portfolios at a time, which is why I liked not central but attorneys, was you were doing 5 portfolios at a time. You were going from adoption to gambling to whatever, and that was the fun of it. And I still get to do that and the collegiality. What I miss is making decisions. Sometimes I'm like, damn it, but I gave you all the advice and I'm not the delegate and this sucks. I'm a no. I think I ran a business for 8 years in my 20s, and I'm doing that again now. I like to think I'm not good at any of that. I think there's a weird bit of Elstone entrepreneur. There's that turns up in various places. Bit of a chancer.
I do think, though, there's an interesting question, which is if, you are otherwise a talent lost to the public service because you don't like staff rooms and long meetings and having to show up in an office every day. And I do think there's an open question about how many Danielles we lose as a service, and what talent we're leaving kind of off the table, I suppose, by not being more flexible.
I'm in wild amounts of pain today, as both of you know, and when I listen to the recap of this, it may start becoming clear that perhaps I should have taken some form of pain relief before you ask controversial questions of me. But the capacity to manage that is wildly different than if I went back into an exec role in a public service, right? My capacity doesn't mean that I don't turn up to 11-hour facilitations after flying 3 hours and then flying home. And there's lots of other cons, but they feel voluntary, and I sign up to them.
Yes.
Every bit of grief autonomy. Every bit of grief they give me has a purpose. There's no performative doing things. Everything I do has massive amounts of value. That makes me sound like a wanker. What I meant was if I'm doing it, it has value. Otherwise, bugger that, I'm not doing it. Yeah. And so I can't ever see myself going back. I like the freedom. But I have lots of the things that Caroline you still miss. The only thing I don't have is any form of delegation, which I find mildly irritating. but I don't think it would be enough to take me back. The right job, the right moment. The right job and the right moment, like, of course, again, can I just say, I said this like absolutely categorically in 2002. And then I came back in 2010 or something.
You did. You came back to us. But I just want to say, like, the thing about, like, there's something about you are impatient to do good things. One of the things I actually really miss about the public service is just having bullshit to do sometimes. Like sometimes I just wish I could sit down and just read my briefs or go through my my bona fides.
Oh my God.
I really miss there's like a soothing part of knowing I'm being productive. I get the dopamine tick of getting something off my list and like also knowing it doesn't matter. Whereas in my current job, everything I do, like you, I only do things that actually matter because otherwise I wouldn't prioritize it. So I miss being able to just do mindless stuff.
I mean, I get to do it and then send invoice. That's my dopamine. I'm good at that point. Like, but no, the idea of having to sit through
just take a nap.
Mindless briefs. No way.
No, it's like a mindless Zen thing. I miss bona fides. I never thought I would. There you go.
Well, I don't know what to do with that.
Not me either. We are very different.
We are. This is one of those moments. What about you, Lloydie Righty?
No, I don't see myself going back. I do obviously have a continued interest in improving public administration and public service leadership and upskilling and that sense you talked about, Caroline, about adding value from the outside. But the amount of things that I'm delighted that I don't have to find time to do, like bona fides, is exceptional, to the point where when I first left, I was radically overestimating how long it would take me to get certain things done. That once you remove all the bullshit from your calendar, I was getting them done like half the time I estimated, because I wasn't otherwise dealing with 400 incoming emails and someone coming to talk to me about this phone call they had from that stakeholder and yeah.
No, I get so much more done. Even just the freeness of the writing, like just being when I have to write advice now, I don't have to fit it into someone else's template. I don't have to, I can just give my best advice.
You have real template rage, girl.
Yeah. It's like your bona fides, Alison, is Danielle's template.
You see, I'm like, well, I don't know what your problem is, right? Like, I just did my bona fides.
My problem is I need it to be consistent for all the people that will read it.
No. I don't understand why. I never understood why people couldn't do bona fides and time, like your timesheet sign off. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? But templates, I'm like, that's not how I want to tell my story. Fuck off. Whereas now, when I give my advice, all the headings are my own. They're all like, and I can write in my own language and people don't seem to mind it. And it's so much faster to write in your own language than to try and switch it into someone else's. And so I feel like I'm still doing lots of public value. I'm more interested in the uplift in the capability of the public service than I ever have been. So I just don't feel like I've lost any of that except for the capacity to make the decision, basically, which makes me have to work harder at your argument. When you can't make the change yourself, then you've got to make a better argument, and I don't mind that, obviously.
Yeah, and as if you incredibly argumentative make a decision in the public service anyway, like that's true. I think, do you know what? One of the things this is making me reflect on is I miss the anonymity of the public service. I miss, there's something about when you're out, like you guys are literally kind of the heads of your agencies. I'm CE, I guess it's the same, hey. But it's like the main character energy is exhausting. And I miss having someone tell me what I'm focusing on. Like I miss, not that I ever agreed or did what I was told, but, I feel something to be
I want a boundary so I can ignore it.
So I can
without the boundary.
It's so true. This is terrible.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, that is one of the things I miss. That
she's available to hire boundary people. She wants you to give her a boundary so she can do exactly as she pleases.
Tell you why you're shit and why that is a terrible framing of your thing. I miss that. That's the thing.
I mean, I'll never ever understand how Alison left and then got an office. I find that the weirdest thing in the world.
I love having a designated space for work, and I do my work there, and I don't do work at home.
That's exactly
I've
right.
never
Also,
in my whole
marriage.
life had a line between the two things, like ever. Like from school onwards, have always considered it all just a blancmange of what's the most important thing to be doing right now, look after this thing or person or this bit of work, and my brain just doesn't kind of work like that.
I think that is probably a wrap on where we are at on some things we will probably never agree on. Friendship mostly still intact. So let's bring us to a close for this episode. This week's winner of the coveted Tea Room Treasure, a Westminster Tradition mug, is anonymous, and we need you to identify yourself. Danielle was delivering a training in New South Wales, and someone approached her to say that they believed, up until listening to us, that there was a right answer, and that one of the things we've been able to help them work through is identifying a lot of the nuance that sits around what they do. Is that fair characterisation, Danielle?
Yeah, she said that I used to think there was an answer. Now there's no answer. There's 3 of them and I need to explain them well and all of those types of things. But I've stopped going to bed like on a Friday thinking, did I get the right answer?
Yes.
And I'm better at it now. But I don't know if you introduce yourself, but if not, give us a LinkedIn or and a mug can be winging its way to you.
Yes, so please identify yourself.
Yeah, because it just captures exactly why we do it, right? Like like, I love that story. So thank you, Danielle, for sharing it.
And couldn't be more on topic with the theme of the episode. Till next time.
Just some appropriately bureaucratic disclaimers. While we've tried to be as thorough in our research as busy full-time jobs and lives allow, we definitely don't guarantee that we've got all the details right. Please feel free to email us corrections, episode suggestions or anything else at thewestminstertraditionpod@gmail.com. Thanks to Pampot Audio for our intro and outro music. Till next time.